Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us here for the Pastor's Potluck podcast. The Pastor's Potluck is similar to a normal potluck, to where you might get something you need, and there may be something that you may not necessarily like. We will talk about anything and everything. Our goal is to encourage you and maybe in the process, entertain you. Wherever you are listening from, please hit the like and subscribe button. Leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. If you're ready, let's dig in. Thank you so much once again for joining us here for episode number 2 of the Pastor's Potluck podcast. We have an awesome, incredible guest today. We have none other than our very own youth pastor, Pastor Anna Blake.
Cool to be here. This is exciting. This is a long time coming.
It is. I feel like we've talked about this for months and months and just planning and trying to find the right thing. I think the thing that we talked about the most was the name. Like, what are we going to call this?
And like heated conversations about like, no, I don't think that is dumb. And like searching like how many podcasts out there that have that name. Like, I mean, even like I probably didn't start really getting into podcasts until like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Just some silly things that I got into. And then I found out there were like podcasts that actually make you maybe a better person. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, that's convenient. So just even the conversation that we had a couple years ago, like it's been years, just it was like an idea. Like it was just like, oh, maybe someday. Yeah. Well, that'd be cool, whatever. But it just... And now we're here. And
now it's here. And I was talking with Pastor Scott about this, and I felt like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber whenever they are like in the Mutts Cuts van and they're headed towards Aspen, and they're like, we're really doing this. Yes. That's how I feel like right now. It's just like an overwhelming...
Well, maybe to some people, this might feel like whenever they're with the gas man and they feel like this is the most annoying sound in the world. Like, maybe it's both, but I hope that it's more exciting for people than it is the most annoying sound they've ever heard.
For sure. It's like we've traded in the Mutts Cuts van for like the little one-seater little moped that they had, and they're just... We're on a road trip, and we're making it happen.
That's right.
But so once again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited about this. For us here on the Pastor's Potluck, we're wanting to peel back a little bit of and kind of like break down this wall and just, hey, we are approachable people. We are just in the same boat as everybody else, and we just happen to do ministry for full time. And it's one of the things that I wanted to talk about because your journey into ministry was actually very, very, how do you put this? Yes, it was different. And I just want to talk a little bit about, what you did before you got into ministry.
Sure.
And so you were in art college, actually, before you got into ministry.
Yeah, so I originally went into college studying biology. I was a biology major.
See, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. Okay, so I was a biology major. I graduated from John Marshall High School in Marshall County, West Virginia, and I went to West Liberty University as a bio major. My first semester tanked. I did terrible. And I love sciences. Like, I was all about sciences. Like, it was so great. I still love sciences. One of my favorite art forms is pottery because there is so much chemistry involved, and I think it's just lovely. But after tanking, I did some reevaluating, some reassessing, and some prayer, some thoughtful conversations with my parents. And I was like, I think that I want to teach. And so the conversation then turned to, well, what do you want to teach? Mm-hmm. And I was like, so I'm leaning towards art because I always had a knack for art. I can remember being a kid, and like one of the things my parents are like, the first time we saw art in your veins was you just drew a picture of Scooby-Doo. Like you were like 4 years old and just drew a picture of Scooby-Doo. Like you didn't look at anything. You just were like, oh, this is what Scooby looks like. And you just drew it. Yeah. And we were like, we can tell what that is. And they were like, that was pretty cool. And so whenever I said that, I was thinking like, oh crap, my parents are going to like disown me. Like they're going to be like, you can't ever come back here. Like you're going to be an art teacher. Like how you cannot even live in our basement. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they met me with so much like love and support. And so that is what I went on to pursue. I got a degree in art ed, pre-K through adult, and I had never worked with kids before. Like all of my observations and all of my like student teaching was like middle school, high school. And I couldn't find any middle school, high school jobs once I got out of school. So I actually worked as a jewelry salesperson at a boutique. Well, not just jewelry, but all kinds of stuff. It was a really interesting job because you couldn't afford the stuff you sold people.
Oh, yeah.
Those jobs are always so interesting. Like, you're like, I cannot even shop here.
No.
But I'll help you shop here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll help you spend your money while I go to Walmart and just get Crayolas.
Yeah. They're like, we can give you a discount. I'm like, that doesn't matter.
No.
It still doesn't matter. And so I worked that job for about a year and applied to other jobs. I had interviews and just nothing was landing. And I was like, man, like, what did I waste my time? Like, was this a waste of time? But then I applied for a job to be a traveling elementary art teacher. It was kind of like a last ditch effort. Like, I was just like, man, like if nothing else, this will at least get me some type of like benefit package, you know, like
now, like what it's like, I mean, is that just like county specific or can that transfer to like different counties to where you can go and, because I mean, the school system here is like way different from what I'm used to. So in San Antonio, there is like, you have 5 or 6 different school, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but like like
districts
in San Antonio. And here it's like you have like
the counties.
The county is it like county specific, like the district?
So that job in particular, I had 4 schools from our county or district that I went to. It was just, I think there was like 8 or 10 elementary schools in the county.
Gotcha.
And so I was designated for 4 of them. And so I applied for the job. I got the job and I was like, what is happening? Like, I just was like, God, what are you doing? And about the same time I got the job, I was getting ready to get married. And so I was currently living at home. Paul and I were working on our house that we were getting together. And on my 3rd week of work, I was driving to work. I had like this official real job. I got my first paycheck. Yeah. I was like, man, like I made it. Right.
Yeah.
And I hit a pothole, and the car that I had, which was my car that I had since I was 16, my parents got it for really cheap from my sister. It was her car, a single owner, and she drove from Wheeling to Pittsburgh in it. So it had high mileage, but she had taken really good care of it.
Yeah.
Well, I was pulling out of the school. I hit a pothole, and my left foot gets wet because there's rust clear through the floor.
Oh, no.
That the pothole, the water splashed up onto my leg. And I was like, what is my life? Like, I'm doing something I never thought I'd do. Like, I've got a wet foot going into my next job.
Driving
like,
a Flintstones mobile.
What is going on? And so that was the day that I said, next week I'm getting a new car. Like, this is happening. And so that started my really awesome adventure into debt. So now I'm in the adventure of debt management.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the starting point. And I ended up learning a lot of great lessons in that job.
So what age group were you teaching? You said that you were in elementary to adult. Like, what was the age group that you were primarily teaching in while you were an art teacher?
Yeah, so that job in particular was kindergarten through 5th grade.
Okay.
And at one of the schools, their elementary school went clear to 6th grade.
Okay.
And so I did have 6th graders at that school. But that was my main group. And I saw over 1,200 students a month. Try to keep track of those names.
Nope.
It's not possible. There's seating
Aaron.
charts. Yes. Ron. Here we go. Like, you're in seat number 12. Like, I go to like tell a kid what to do, and I have to go to my seating chart and look and see like a grid. I felt like I was like, what is happening? Find the grid, find the name, and be like, hey, Jesse, like, knock it off. Like, it was something else. But I ended up really coming to enjoy that job. Just about the time I started to get good at it, God had other plans.
Yeah, this is like a perfect segue because, like, you know, managing 1,200 kids and you're teaching them and trying to keep track of everything and grades and projects and what did I teach in this class that I haven't touched on this class and vice versa. it's kind of funny, like how God sets people up for success whenever people are called into the ministry. Now, for me, it was different. Like, I was in the bar industry, but I was always around audio and video equipment, and so having that kind of like mindset and that background of like, I know enough about this to make me kind of dangerous, like in a bad way, and kind of dangerous in a good way.
Yeah.
But just being exposed to it and being around to music and the equipment and everything that goes with it. So it's kind of similar to what you were. God was setting you up for success, in a sense of almost kind of like stretching this and building up your patience vat.
Oh, yeah.
Your internal patience meter, so to speak.
Yeah, nothing will test that more than a room full of 30 kindergartners.
Yeah.
Nothing tests your patience.
And trying to teach them art.
It's like, quit eating the crayon. Like, let's move on. Okay.
Gosh. Quit sniffing that glue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you are here teaching, you've got your new car, you're newly married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or were you not married yet whenever you got called into ministry?
So the thing about being called in ministry is that many people like myself don't really know what that means on the front end, because it's like, okay, God, what does that even mean? Like, so my history, family history, my parents became Christians whenever I was still a kid. So they were kind of like baby Christians raising us kids. And so there was a lot of things that we knew about faith, but there were a lot of things that we didn't know. And so I can remember feeling like God wanted me to do ministry when I was maybe like 17. I got saved at 15. I had grown up in church, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. And so whenever I got saved, I was like, okay, like, I'm doing this now. Like, this is really happening. This isn't just like I'm showing up for pretend time. Like, this is like real. And I can remember being like 17-ish and God being like, hey, I want you to do some ministry stuff. And I just remember like responding to that and saying like, I will do whatever you want me to do. And at the time, I felt like God was saying, like, I just need you to be faithful where you are. Yeah. And so I just did that. Like, whenever I was on campus at university, I joined, like, Christian groups. I helped lead in those ways. Whenever I was whenever I was working at the boutique and my other odd jobs, I worked at a warehouse. I worked at McDonald's for 4 years while I was in college. Like, I was like, I just need to be like Jesus in these places. Yeah. And I wasn't perfect, but I was trying. Yeah. And so whenever the opportunity for full-time ministry approached, I literally laughed at it. Like, I was like,
was that because of like, you're like, oh, people get paid to do this? Or was it just like something that you just didn't see yourself in? Like, explain a little bit about that.
So it's really a lot of factors. One was the teaching job. The teaching gig was pretty good. Yeah. Like, I was finally getting paid. I had great benefits. At the same time, Paul and I were gifted the house that we lived in. Paul's dad had it on his property and his farm property, and he gifted it to us, which was an incredible gift. Like, I literally can't express in words how grateful we were for that. Like, it was unbelievable. And
you got a house.
Right. Like, you bought me a house. Like, it's so cool. Yeah. For my office friends out there, that was a Pam quote. And so we're like, we both have new cars. Like, we're both working. Paul had a great job. He was working at a drywall factory. It sounds lame, but he really liked it. He was into it. Yeah. And we were serving as full-time volunteers with the youth ministry at the church we worked at. Yeah. And so we already had, like, in our eyes, we had all of the blocks stacked up. Like, we're here. Like, we've made it. And so when the opportunity approached us to uproot and join a full-time ministry, I brought it to Paul. I was like, how hilarious is this? Like, Michael Coker came to me and gave me this offer. And Paul was like, ew, what is he thinking? I'm like, I don't know. Like, that is so crazy. And I shared this a couple weeks ago in the Whisper series that we did. And I really kept dreaming of that conversation. Like, it kept coming up in my mind over and over again. That conversation where we're in a hallway and Michael says, hey, just consider it. Just pray about it. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And so my idea of just like getting this monkey off my back was to just send a resume. I was like, I'll just send a resume and get it over with. God, I'm doing what you want. Like, whatever. Well, here I am. Like, God's stories are always like playing differently than what we expect. And we went from having a really pretty much stacked up life with our blocks stacked up to getting those blocks pushed over and restarting in a lot of ways. But it has been so good, and God has been so faithful. Like, I would not do it any other way now. Like, just seeing his faithfulness over and over in so many ways, even in like the weird things like moving here. Like, God just took care of us, and I don't know, like, I'm so thankful for his faithfulness. It is unmatched by anything I've experienced.
For sure. It's whenever you could take a step and look at what God has brought you through, it just puts a lot of things in perspective. Like, even like the situations that are in front of me that I don't see, like the end. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But to be reminded about how good God has been is just, it kind of gives you that pep in your step like sit there and go, okay, I need to figure this out. I knew maybe there's a light switch that I need to turn on that I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. And kind of give you that like go to work attitude. So whenever you get like you having this conversation with Pastor Michael and coming and accepting the job, y'all, it wasn't like, all right, like we need to find a place to live, we need to find a place to stay. It was, I've got the opportunity to buy like a little caravan, or like a pull behind trailer, or a camper, so to speak. Yeah. And that's what y'all did. Y'all lived in a camper for...
Yeah. So even the way that worked out was really interesting. So we were looking for places to live. We had come down to the Charleston area because we're from Moundsville, Wheeling area. So it's about a 3-hour trip. We'd come down, start early in the morning, and drive around to for sale houses that we had seen online, or we just drive around the area and look for signs, right? So that's what we had been doing. And we finally found a house that worked for us. Like, everything was just so perfect. Like, the kid, and this isn't perfect for him, but he was like a 23-year-old getting a divorce. It was heartbreaking, but he's trying to get out from under this debt and move on with his life. And so he offered us his house for what he owed, and which was unbelievable. And we did like the nod our head, like, we'll think about it. And like we got in the car and like called him like 5 minutes later. We're like, okay, we're in. Like, we can mail you $500 check or whatever you want. Like, we'll put some money down on it. Cause we were just like, definitely God's playing something in this. And so we did that. Well, that happened in August, which was great. Beginning of August. My start date was August 13th. And I don't know if anybody's bought houses lately, but they don't close in 13 days. That doesn't work. No. Well, this house in particular didn't close until like November 4th. And so we had 3 months to figure something out. So we just start asking, like, hey, like, does anybody know where we can get some housing or different things? Well, a friend of a friend of a friend kind of situation reached out to us and said, hey, we have a camper in a campground in Sissonville. We don't live there. Like, they moved to like Mississippi. They said, we'd be willing to let you live there, like, for those couple months. And I was like, this or a cardboard box. Yes. Like, yes. Let's do it. Like,
now, was this at the Rippling Waters?
It was at Rippling Waters Campgrounds. And so we lived there rent free. They let us stay there for free, which gave us 3 months to save up money to put a down payment on this house and to do these other things. So like, I'm telling you, God's in it. Like, he's in it all the time. And so I'm staying in this camper, and Paul's working 2 weeks on, 7 days off, 2 weeks on, 7 days off. That was his schedule. And so he would come down for a couple days in between. And it was me, my cat, John Rambo. At first, he was my roommate. And then we finally moved down our dog, Sadie. And so the three of us, me and the dog and the cat, lived in this little FEMA camper. Not just any camper, a little FEMA camper that got moved up from some flood stuff that happened. And it was interesting. Like,
how big was it? If you had to guess, like square footage wise.
Not big.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know square footage. What's the square footage of this room?
I don't know either.
See?
Maybe like 120 square feet.
Like it was like 7 arm lengths. Is that good measurements?
Yeah.
Okay. Cubits. Should I go to cubits? That's biblical.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot bigger than a square foot, I think, though.
But it was not. It was perfect for what I needed. But I couldn't have done it for a lot longer.
Yeah, it could. I mean, it served a purpose, but there comes a point in time. I mean, you were there for 3 months.
3 months. And it got to a point. So I would just go. There was a bathhouse across the gravel lot where I was. And so I would just walk to the bathhouse because it was just nicer. It was heated. Like it was bigger. Like it was much better than like barely able to turn inside of the camper. Like, so I was doing that.
So it had a restroom in the camper.
Yes, it did, which was decent. And it had a full-size fridge, so that was cool too.
Okay.
Yeah, so like some things were still working really nice. But around mid-October, the campgrounds winterized all their bathrooms that weren't a part of like the main lot, like the office area. And so one morning I went to go to the bathroom and all of the sinks had been taken apart. All of like the toilet stuff I was like, oh no, like what is going on? And so I had from like mid-October until I moved out, like it was about 2 or 3 weeks, I had to drive to go get a shower. Like it was the strangest thing. And it was one of those things where I was like, God, I was living in a free house. Yeah. I had a good job with heated bathrooms that worked. Yeah. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, what is actually happening? Like, and those are the moments where I was just like, did I make a bad choice? Like, have I done the wrong thing? Like,
yeah, the devil's a little sneaky like that. Like he plants like these little thoughts of doubt and anxiety and worry and everything that just like you start to question like everything. And I mean let's just be real and honest. 3 months living in a small space like that and you're relatively newly married. Yeah. I mean, it's not like if you have like a disagreement on something,
you can't get away.
You can't get away. You're like, I just need to not look at you.
I'm
gonna
go sit on the other side of the couch.
And y'all are both just like humping at each other. Just like, you know, but yeah, I mean, but once again, it's one of those situations where you look back on it and you're like, God, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for being faithful.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness, I would have been frustrated too, trying to walk out to the little bathhouse, you know, get a jump start on brushing your teeth or something.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, you put your toothpaste on your toothbrush and you start, you know, cleaning your teeth. And then you open up that door and then you're just like, oh, what's going on here, guys?
Yeah. Lord forbid if you have to, you know, go to the bathroom first thing when you get up. That was a whole new fight for me. I was like, thank God I have that teacher bladder. Like I was able to make it.
How do you segue from that?
I don't know.
It's all good.
Good luck.
So God obviously provided the camper. God provided like the open door for you to be able to go into ministry full time, and He's set you up for success. Getting, you know, by you were an art teacher, and your patience is just overflowing, and then next thing you know, a couple years later, once again everything is taken and torn down, and your blocks are kicked over because of a pandemic. Yeah. And one of the things I really, really wanted to touch on was, I think a lot of people don't realize like what it does for the momentum of a ministry to be able to for you as a youth pastor, but also as the church as a whole, saying, hey guys, we've got to shut the doors. Mm-hmm. We've got to do what's best for everybody around. We got to follow these guidelines that the CDC is putting out and just be like uber respectful of everybody's, you know, space. And it's like, how do you begin to navigate the pandemic because one of the things that's like really good for youth is just to be able to come together and get together and hang out with kids that are the same age, They are beginning to formulate their opinions and really, really dig deep in their relationship with Jesus. And so it's almost kind of like taking wind out of the sails. So like, how do you begin to navigate this? And what are some of the struggles that you went through as a youth pastor at the beginning and like getting into the thick of the pandemic?
Yeah. So February, right before the pandemic started, there at the end of February, we went to the Winter Jam concert at the Civic Center, and we purchased, I think, 40 tickets, and every ticket had a name represented by it. And I was like, good. Man, 40 people attending an event, like this is exciting. Cause you know, like that had happened once or twice, but not to that caliber. Like I was so excited, like this is where we're at. And 3 weeks later, everything was stopped. Yeah. Everything was on halt. We had trips that got canceled, events that were canceled, conferences, leadership events. I had a handful of teenagers we were working on and building them as Christian leaders, and all of that is canceled. And I can remember at first feeling really like, all right, let's just tackle this. Like, let's just get on top of this thing and do what we can to keep people involved and invited, and that meant watching a lot of YouTube videos about how to use Instagram. Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I was like, okay, I see some people doing really cool stuff on Instagram, but I can maybe post a picture of my cat without it being blurry. Like, so I need to learn. So it went straight into like watching, like literally my Google searches and YouTube searches was like how to blah, blah, blah on Instagram, how to this. And so just watching those videos and tutorials and like taking that in and soaking that in and being able to utilize that and doing like Instagram lives and just connecting with kids through texting or like stories or whatever that was. And then it went
even Zoom.
Yes. Oh gosh, Zoom. Yes. We did actually have some really fun days with Zoom. Some days were exhausting because, and our faithful volunteer Dean Meadows would attest, there were days that we would hop on, and one of the other volunteers that was really regular with us was Josh Hancock. We would hop on and it would be like the three of us and maybe like one kid, and it felt like an intervention. Like it was like, so
I'm not doing anything, like, I promise.
They're like, I've been locked in my house for 3 weeks just like the rest of you. Like,
I'm guilty of like a Netflix habit maybe or something.
Right. So we did some of that, and then one of the things that I really felt called to go back to doing, which is old school, but like just sending out mail, like sending out like letters, notes, like whatever. So we went really old school and went to just snail mail, and that ended up being one of my favorite parts of like the month, because I would try to do that monthly. Yeah. And it was just like a way for me to like see those names and like connect with them. And even if there was no return, like for me, it was good for me to see the names and to see like these people are still in our community. They're still here. Like we're still like recognizing that they exist. Yeah. Like, because it was easy to feel like I literally don't even exist anymore, because who does? Yeah. Like nothing is happening. And then we did some home visits, like some social distancing home visits, just knocking on people's doors, seeing how they're doing. That kind of stuff was nice. And then for the summer, we were able to get together and do some outdoor stuff like bonfires and stuff like that. But even coming back, you know, we're a year and a half later, and there's still struggles from it. There's still people who are really struggling with getting out and about, and that's fair. But we miss them. Like we still think about them and pray for them and miss them. And we're looking forward to what is to come. We've learned so much. Like I have learned way more about Instagram than I would have if that wouldn't have happened. I've learned way more about the importance of relationships if that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Like, so those things are definitely like the little in disguise blessings. But there were still a lot of struggles, like still, you know.
Yeah. It's going back just a little bit on your sending out like physical mail, like taking the time to actually write something. I think we can all just like agree that whenever you get like a handwritten note like that, hey, I'm thinking about you, or even if it's like a birthday card, you know, hey, happy birthday, instead of just like texts are great. Don't get me wrong. They're great because someone took the time to say, hey, how's your day going? Or whatever. But like getting like something that's like a physical piece of mail, there's so much more that goes into it because it's not just like I'm thinking of you just in this moment. I'm thinking of you a little bit longer than that because you took the time to go out to the Walmart or Target or a pharmacy store, whatever, where they have greeting cards, and you took the time and you found the right one. That probably, it's got like a cheeseburger or like a dachshund and like a hot dog costume, like just something like, oh, okay, I know that they're going to really like that because they mentioned something about, Jared likes dachshunds or something. Yeah. Which is total opposite of my dog that I have right now. But
yeah, like a Great Dane.
Yeah.
It's like two completely different animals, I think.
It's a mini horse. Yeah. But I mean, actually, people ask like if my kids ride Dixie.
You're just like, no, because my kids aren't that heathenous.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't have the money to buy a mini saddle, so
that's what it is. That's what's holding you back. Okay.
Yeah, that
changes everything. Okay, so we're taking donations for the mini saddle, just so you know.
But you took the time to go there, sit down, put some thought into what you were going to write. Not that you don't put thought into texting, but and get a stamp and put it in the mail. And for me, I know that just like, oh, you took the time to do it. And I know that would probably mean the world because let's face it, kids nowadays, they don't get mail.
No, I mean, unless it's for like a dental cleaning.
Yeah, like, hey, like just
happy
a friendly
birthday!
Reminder.
Don't forget, your teeth are older this year too. Come get a cleaning.
I can't wait to see how you're not flossing. But you're exactly right. And so it's almost kind of like, it's kind of if somebody like put like a Morse code machine in my office. And they're just like tapping away. Like, I don't even know what you're trying to say to me right now, but what is this new form of communication?
Yeah.
It's just, I know that it would just mean the world for those kids to do that. And it kind of kept them engaged with everything that you're like, hey, we are still doing this. We're still trying to navigate this to the best of our ability. Yeah. But I want to make you feel like you're still an important part of what's going on here at Southridge in the youth ministry. So, I mean, I just want to applaud that because I came into the back end of that, but also like just kudos for just kind of stripping everything back and just saying, hey, let's just go back to like the basics and make kids feel welcome and appreciated. And I'm still thinking about you.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things that, like, right now, like, I was just, like, looking at my to-do list, and I'm like, man, I have been missing that. Like, I feel like, okay, it's time to get back to some of those because, now that things have loosened up, like, more doors are open, more opportunities are out there. Kids are so busy again. Like, sports are back. School is back. Yeah. Extracurricular stuff is back. Like, homecomings are back. Like, it's homecoming season. Goodness. I'm like, man, if I can't connect to them right now because they're so busy again. And so it's like it's the same problem. The problem is connection. It's the same problem. Like, and so as I was like looking at things this week, I was like, I need to probably take a step back and start doing those types of things again. Because if connection is what we're looking for and we still can't get it, first of all, I think we need to reevaluate not just myself, but all of us, like reevaluate, like, why am I not getting those connections? Like, because they are so critical for us and we fought for them a year ago, but now we're just letting them get taken from us. Like that connection, we're just allowing it to go away. And so those are just some things that I'm personally battling in addition to professionally. And then, bringing things back to basics still reminds people like, I still see you. Yeah. Even though I haven't seen you, I still see you. Yeah. Even though we haven't talked, we're still going to talk whenever you're ready to talk, we're here. Like, let's just make sure those lines of communication are open. Which is highly important for youth, 6th grade through 12th grade. I mean, it's just for me, even whenever I was in high school, I moved from Louisiana to Texas and I didn't have any friends. And I was just like, how do I get seen? How do I get noticed? And just having someone take the time to
put the effort in to say, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you whenever we get around each other next, whenever that may be. But I'm praying for you. I think that's just incredible. And I'm obviously praying for you because, like you said, everything is opening back up. And you just reminded me that my kid got invited to homecoming dance, and I'm kind of like low key freaking out about it. Like, what? Like,
what's going on?
I know, like, because Nolan is like a mini me, and so he's. I mean, even his mannerisms and his attitude are just so similar to myself, and I don't want to go dancing. I mean, he wants to go. He wants to go. I think just to be around his friends. But I can't picture him just going out there and cutting a rug. And
he'll like do some like soccer moves on the dance floor. Maybe I don't know soccer moves, but maybe he does.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, his soccer moves were just just go out there. Hey, y'all guys, come over here and kick me in the shins.
Well, be careful. Yeah, I take it back. I don't want him to hurt anybody. Because I was thinking like a kick to the face sounds terrible too. Just like cutting a rug, throwing a kick.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, it's interesting even just navigating it as a parent as things are opening up, because my son obviously did all these things, different sports, and didn't necessarily care for them, but like being opened up to soccer, and he does cross country, and I don't even know where to begin. It's just for show up like this. Right. I was talking like with this one parent at his cross country race, and I was like, I really don't even know what to say. Like whenever he runs past me, like I'm just like, keep up the pace, 1 foot in front of the other. And like he passed him, and the dad was like, hey, you're actually doing like a lot better than like some parents are, because they really don't know what to say. They're just like, you're sweating or something.
Look out for the wind.
Yeah, like there's water waiting for you at the end, so the faster you finish, like you can get some water. But yeah, I mean, it's just so now that things have opened up for ministry, for kids and their school, and everything is like, it's like we are like, it feels like we're like 85% there. There's like obviously some things that they don't want people to do.
Well, I feel like there might be some things that will always stay. I mean, I don't know what those things are, but I feel like there are some things that will never go back to the way they were.
I feel the same way too.
Whatever, like I don't really feel that upset about that, as long as we have the majority of things feeling like safe and secure and together, and then it's like, you know what, I'm willing to do some of this other stuff.
Correct.
If it means that we can have the majority.
Correct.
That's just how
I
feel.
What are some of the things that you have coming down the pipeline, or that you're just like really excited about? Like, hey, we weren't able to do this last year, but we can do it this year. I know that you've had like some bonfire events here at the church, just coming together, hanging out and playing kickball or toasting marshmallows. And just what are some things coming down the pipeline for the youth here at Southridge that you're just like uber pumped and you just want to shamelessly plug right now?
Yeah. So we have a lot of things coming up. And so like some of the things that I'm really pumped about is we're going to be doing for the first time this event called Pizza Palooza in November, where we are going to be doing like pizza-based competition.
Is Pastor Scott going to be like one of your youth leaders?
I think he's going to like register under an alias, like
show up
and be like,
shave his beard,
right? Like wear a wig, maybe. Like be like, I'm new kid. I am new kid. Pizza? Question mark.
Pizza McPeterson is my name.
That's it. That's the alias. So I'll know. I'll recognize that immediately.
Pete.
How rude, Siri. She's listening all the time.
Watch.
So Pizza Palooza I think it's November 10th. That's a Wednesday night. We're doing like DIY pizzas, like pizza-based competitions. So that's really exciting because we're going to get to be sharing meals together. It's not a traditional meal, but a meal together. Like we have not gotten to do things like that in a long time.
So they're going to be making their own pizza?
some of making their own pizzas.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I
with
like that.
Almost like pizza roulette, like toppings roulette. Like
oh goodness,
it's I'm gonna make sure I take my Pepsid before I get here. Because I think spicy Cheetos are on the menu.
Oh, so. Some kid's gonna put like gummy worms on a pizza or something.
Can't wait! It's gonna be great. We keep trash cans nearby for, purging purposes if necessary. So
are you gonna do like a pizza dough toss? Like who can?
I don't think that's in the plan because I don't want to pick that off the ceiling.
Go out in the cafe because it has a
high great ceiling. Then I'll have to get on a higher ladder. No, I don't do heights. I'll be sweating by the time I get it down. But yeah, just some fun type of stuff like that. We're doing our first overnight event. Like the state youth convention is coming up. That's going to be in Flatwoods, West Virginia. And this is the first one in 2 years. They canceled the last 2 years. And so we're really excited to bring that back. And we've got a nice group of kids going. We're going to stay up at the Days Inn in a hotel and just enjoy like guest speakers, guest bands, like growing spiritually with other people. And some of these kids might recognize some of these other kids from state camp. We did do camp this year, which was really great.
Yeah, it was fun.
We were glad to be able to do that. And so, yeah, just those are two of the things that I'm really excited about. But even so, I was just talking with some kids this past week and said one of my favorite things that we did this past month was we did like a little devotion book together, and it was a really low key evening. Like we were doing that meeting on Wednesday nights. I'd bring donuts and we went through this Devo book together, and it was just really lovely, like to sit down together and get into the word and like meditate on the word and pray together and eat a donut. Like there was just something really special about that time. And I'm like, man, if we could even get more of that in like those moments with God, but together, it was cool like that. I love the fun stuff, but having some of that in the mix is really nice too.
Yeah. The big state youth convention is fantastic because you get, you're around a whole bunch of youth that are all there for the same purpose and just to have fun and seek God and grow in your relationship, but also like stripping everything back. Like he said, just getting in a circle, eating a donut, and just doing some devotions together it's fantastic. So I think there's just something that you are providing that is for everyone. So
we hope so.
We have stuff that's maybe a little bit more geared towards introverts, and then you have the stuff that's geared towards everybody. And you have, boys events, you have girls events, you have it all. So how can people stay up to date and find the information to where they can like kick their kid out of the house for the weekend whenever you have these things? So how can parents stay up to date and youth stay up to date with everything that's going on now that things are opening up? Yeah.
So our main avenue for our upcoming events and registrations, all that stuff, is src.life/youth. So it's your regular src.life website, just /youth. And so on that page, you can also find it on the regular src.life page under youth or under family ministries. But on that page, we keep up to date. We've got the schedule clear up until the end of this year, and then we'll be dropping a spring schedule around late November, early December. And so like it shows all the events, all the things that are coming up. If there's a price involved, it's listed there. Most of the things that involve a cost require a registration, and so you'll see those cards there as well. So like the upcoming convention has a cost related to it, so there's an RSVP option. And so just those kinds of things, that's a great way to keep in touch. And then social media, SRCWV Youth. SRCWV Youth. That's us on Facebook and on Instagram. For parents, we do have a parents private group. I think you can find the private group link at src.life/youth.
Okay.
So if parents are out there, they want to know what's going on, the parents link is on that youth page, src.life.
Yeah, which is great for parents to get plugged in, because oftentimes I'm finding out, as now that my son is in youth, I'm finding out that there's a lack of communication on his end to let me know what's going on. And I work here at the church. You know,
Right.
like,
Well, there's something about telling a sixth grader what's happening next week, and they say, did you say donut?
yeah,
And then they go home and say, Mom, I want donuts. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay, why? I don't know.
yeah,
Just, I think that I want them. Like,
Yep.
That's pretty much the communication.
yeah, pretty much. Well, as we begin to wrap things up, we have a little section that I like to do. It's just a rapid fire
Oh, boy.
questionnaire section, and just pretty much just first thing that comes to mind. If you want to expound on it, you can, and if you don't want to, that's fine as well. Which kind of defeats the purpose of rapid fire. But I like to get down to the root of things, like if it's like really interesting.
Yes. Okay.
So our first question is, what scares you?
Heights.
Just,
Like phobic level.
Yeah.
Like I had to help Pastor Cheryl when she was super pregnant. I had to help her get stuff off the ceiling in the E-zone.
even whenever she's not super pregnant, people have to help her by getting up on a ladder. So
Sorry, Cheryl. Anyway.
oh, she's looking. I can feel her. I can just feel her. Just the anger just coming out right now.
Cheryl, you know we love you.
Yes, we love you.
The day after her birthday, Jared. Jeez.
I know.
Oh man. Anyway,
Should have got her some platform shoes for her birthday.
and it never ends.
It's all good.
Anyway, so I got up on this ladder because I felt like I had to, because I wasn't going to let the pregnant lady get on the ladder, right? Like I had
sure.
to keep my moral code. And by the time I got done with the job, I took probably 4 times as long as she would.
Yeah.
While pregnant.
Yeah.
And when I got done, I had like pit sweat. Like I was like sweaty. I was like, my hands are like dripping.
Yeah.
She's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm going
No,
home."
I'm a little dizzy, actually.
I went home.
My blood sugars have dropped because I just don't want to do this.
It was like 11:45, and I said, "I'll see you guys tomorrow."
Dude.
I couldn't.
I hate telling this because it seems like highly irrational, but like I am scared of flying, stinging insects. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I freak out. Like if they're
Well,
flying
they're coming
around,
for you.
Right? They are. They are. I freak out, and I tend to. I don't know. Like I dance. Like I feel like I'm a boxer.
See,
Like shadow boxing. Like I'm moving my head around.
Maybe that's how you can prep Nolan for the dance. Just let a bee loose in his room and see what moves he's got.
Oh,
see,
yeah.
now we're cooking. All right.
Well, see, my kids have the same kind of like irrational fear. I think it's just because they saw me freak
for
out,
sure, that's
and
why.
so they're just
For
like,
sure.
"Oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end." So if I let a bee out in his room, I don't know what kind of dance moves that you're gonna get, but you're for sure gonna get like beating on the door, screaming, "Let me out!"
The high pitched screams,
Yeah,
squeals.
like I can't believe you tried to murder me by letting a bee out in my.
Yeah, maybe not the best idea.
Yeah, so you're scared of heights. Okay, that's always good to know. I won't ask you to do anything that requires.
Well,
getting up
I
on a
will
ladder.
do it.
Yeah.
I just will be a wreck
Yeah.
doing it. Like an absolute wreck.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do everything, actually. I take that back. Moving on.
Yeah.
I'm sweat. My hands are clammy. We're talking about it. My hams are my hams. Not my hams. See, slurred speech. Clammy hands.
What is going on right now?
I'm either having a phobic episode or a stroke. I don't know.
My turkey is sweaty too. Anyways, so you're scared of heights. Okay, moving on. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Oh man. Okay, so
Obviously, you want to be in like God's will, and maybe
Right,
like
right.
you're retired.
Oh, yeah,
and like you just somebody gave you the winning lottery ticket. Like money doesn't cost a thing. You can live anywhere in the world. Where would that be?
man, I don't know. The only places I've been out of country is Canada,
Hey,
and Peru. So I don't know. I've been a lot of places in the U.S. I like the North territories because I like winter. Like I like being in the North because I love snow. I love winter.
there's nothing
think-
like that you've Googled, like, or you've
Yeah,
seen pictures
no,
of,
I've
and you're
seen
just
cool
like,
stuff.
I would like to be
Okay.
there. I mean, obviously, the visiting is like one thing, but I mean, like you,
like long-term living. I probably would enjoy settling somewhere over in like the eastern panhandle of West Virginia because you're closer to the East Coast. You're closer to like the New England states. You still get all the seasons. You're in the mountains. I just think the mountains are so pretty. Like even the time that we've spent out west, like the mountains are my favorite part of like traveling in those regions. I like this area. I like visiting other places, but just to long-term live, like I just think settling somewhere in the middle of the like northeast would be nice, like a little south in the northeast.
That's fantastic.
Is that
No, it's great. One of the things that you mentioned that you like, you want the seasons. One of the things just being exposed to 4 seasons here is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. The mountains here are just so beautiful. I love seeing the trees like change and fall. And
it's happening right now.
I know.
It's the best.
It is the absolute best. So I can probably agree with you with that. I mean, it's just, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Well, we love we love traveling north. Like we like the lakes. We like we've been through Philadelphia. We like Atlantic City. We don't gamble that much.
Yeah.
We just walk through and eat the food, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we like New York. We like the city there. Like, so it's just nice to be on the coast, coast-ish, but still inland enough to enjoy the mountains and the seasons. And
fantastic. That's great answer. If you had to pick between one, cats or dogs?
If I had to choose one, definitely dogs. Mm-hmm. I like the ease of my cat. Like, we can go like 2 days without seeing our cat and we don't even sweat it. We're like, he's somewhere. Like, he ain't dead. Because like if he was close to death, then we're probably already dead. Yeah. Like that's just how we look at that.
Yeah.
But the friendliness and the loviness and the dependency of the dog, you're just like, I just think that I love you because you love me so much.
Yeah.
They're so funny like that. And I like training dogs. Like I like teaching. If it's like, wow, I can't believe you're learning something. Like we have a little foster puppy right now, and we're like working with her until she goes to her forever home, and just like watching her learn stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can't teach my cat a trick. Like if I try to, well, I mean, I guess you can. People do, but it's a scary. My cat's name is John Rambo for a reason.
Yeah.
All right. Like we don't play that game.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I'm a dogs guy. I like the idea of cats, but I'm allergic. And I also like, for me, I want to be able to, Dixie knows, like, I just, whenever she comes up, I'm a pet her.
Yeah.
And
no, you can't pet my cat.
No, you can't pet cats because they're just like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Some are loving. Like, some cats are really lovey. I've never had a lovey cat, though.
Yeah.
Like, we've had cats off and on growing up. And this cat is probably the longest I've ever had a cat. He's like 7 years old this year. And he was like a barn cat, a barn kitten. Yeah. And so we'll sometimes be like, he's still got that wild in him. Like,
does he ever like kill like little mice or crickets or something like that and bring them in the house?
Oh yeah. He loves, like, if we get like one of those like wood spiders in like the bathroom or something, before we try to take care of it, we'll sometimes put him in the bathroom and just like shut the door.
That's so
like, just get some protein in your diet, and he's after it. Like, he don't play games. Like, he's just like, oh, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes our dog is scared of him. Our dog Cusco is a big baby. He's a pit bull mix, and we didn't know a lot about pit bull dogs until we got one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this dog is, first of all, the laziest dog we've ever owned. Not like fat, just lazy.
Yeah.
And he's terrified of this cat. Like, the cat can come up and like bite his face, and the dog just stands there and just like
his hams are sweaty.
Like, his hams are so sweaty. His poor little hams.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So maybe I need to rename this section to not rapid fire because it's not very rapid, because I just like.
We could be more rapid if you'd like.
No. I think it's just me because I like to hear people's reasoning.
Yeah, it's definitely you. It's definitely you.
Yeah, I'll work on it. So besides standing on ladders, what is something that you do not like doing?
Oh man. Okay, so the other thing that I've went home early because is some administrative tasks. Like, there was a day that we set up all of our workflows, which is what is designed to track attendance or to track other things that are going on here at the church, like so we can see what teenagers haven't been here in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, like so we can reach out to them, let them know like, hey, we haven't seen you, we miss you, like whatever. The day that we set that those workflows up, I went home early because I thought I was going to vomit. I'm a people person. I love spending time with people. Like, put me in a room with people and I'll survive all day long and not sweat it too much.
Yeah.
But sit me down at a computer or with like a spreadsheet or paperwork and I start like panicking, like, oh my gosh, like something about that feels so unnatural for me. I'm learning. I'm getting there, but I wish it would happen a little quicker, but I am not a fan.
Yeah,
I do it, but
there's parts of the job that are, I don't want to say like it sucks the life out of you, but like it's just part of the job that has to get done.
Oh yeah. And that's with every job.
It's weed management.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just, you have to tend the garden so the weeds don't choke out the more productive stuff, and just doing those tasks, it takes a lot, and just because you have to focus on those things. And I mean, you and I are creative people, and that's like where we flourish. But yeah, it's just the menial stuff.
Oh
it's
yeah.
just,
and every job has that. I think every person can relate to that. Like when I worked at a warehouse, it was getting rid of expired goods. Whenever I worked at the boutique, it was organizing the shelves and like organizing the inventory and stuff. So whatever, like every job has that.
Yeah.
Where you're like this, and even if it's not that for them, those were the things for me. Like these are the things that I absolutely know that need done, but I know that when I'm done with these things, I'm going to feel spent.
Yeah.
And feeling spent is really the thing that I don't like doing, that feeling of being spent. And when you know those triggers, then you can hopefully learn to work around that, to be like, okay, I know that that's going to trigger me into a spent type of mood. So maybe I save that for a time of the day that I'm already feeling kind of spent, or maybe I save that for a timeline where I know that I have to do something else immediately afterwards so that I can't like wear myself clear to the bone.
Yeah.
Like whatever that looks like for a person. And so for me, that was like organizing that to get that done in a timeline that worked for the rest of my day, instead of just like putting it off until I was like miserable thinking about it and then miserable doing it. Yeah. And that comes with intentional scheduling.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe the next thing, like whenever we come back together and do this in the next couple of weeks, because we're trying to rotate all the pastors through and make sure that everybody gets a fair shake or whatever. But I think one of the things that it would be really interesting is just hit on some like really like incredible leadership things that you have learned that have helped you get through that. Oh, because man. I think you can apply it with any job. So
yeah. But
I really appreciate today. I've had a blast.
Yeah. This was cool. This was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing this.
I'm glad that we're doing it. Like I said, it's like that feeling, like I can't believe we're really doing this. Yeah. And here we are, we're doing it.
I hope everybody likes it. Like I hope that they let us know what they think about it, and maybe like even some of the things they'd like to hear, or you know what I mean? Like maybe questions or thoughts or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that would help propel us.
You can go to src.life and fill out the contact form and just say, hey, I have a topic I want y'all to talk about.
Cool idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk about anything. And I said it the first episode. I firmly believe that Tyler Markham has probably got like 1,000 things that he would want for us to talk about.
Yikes.
Yeah. And it could be about anything. But really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate today. Yeah. I hope you have the weekend is upon us, for us as pastors at least, because we have Friday and Saturday off. So enjoy your couple of days off, and we'll see you next time.
You too, pal.
Yeah. All right. Been good. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. And you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you,
I was
and
messed
we'll see you
up.
next week.